My name's Hein, obviously, and I'm going to spend the next 40 minutes talking about something I've spent about 6 weeks on. I'd like to welcome our folks from Winona, Wabasha, Houston County Jails, my friends from Minnesota Adult Teen and Challenge, and Tom Trzynski. Tom's a good friend of mine, just doing a great work over there, our folks in Traditions, and then those people tonight at 5:30. I'm not ordained. I'm not a theologian by any stretch. I'm just sharing. I'm going to talk a lot about Lee. I don't mean that in an arrogant way, but I've done some soul searching over 6 weeks, and I'm looking in the mirror, so I'm not preaching at you folks at all. I come with the right spirit. I try to, but I just want you to really think about a few things and a few points. 6 weeks ago, Brandon asked me if I would reach out. He actually texted me how kids do, but anyway, that's funny. I'll hear about that, but anyway, young people, he sent me a note and he asked if I would take a Sunday. And wisdom is a wonderful thing, when you use it. I should have asked about the subject prior to saying, sure, and I got the subject and I was like, what? And I think about work, and this is kind of divine retribution, So at work, what I do is if I have a guy or a gal that's struggling in an area of work, I just have them present on that area, and they got to dig in and become an expert on it. That's how I feel today. So today, the subject is generational responsibility. I did a Google search that Al will bring up, and I'm thinking, I'm going to just dive right into this thing. Pages upon topics upon topics, if you look on Google about generational responsibility. It's climate change, it's tax reform, it's oil war, it goes everywhere. There's rabbit holes you could chase forever. I just could not put my finger on one thing to say, you know what? This is our generational responsibility. I stopped. I then turned to God's Word. I said, what is God going to tell us about what our responsibility is to do in this world today as a believer? More on that in a few minutes. I first need to frame up why I think we have a problem. If you look in your notes, right, number one, it says the problem. I look at our society. Take a minute, folks. Just take a minute right now and think about our world. This morning, I roll out of bed. What's the first news item that hit my desk? London. Just think, folks. Think about what's going on in our world today. I'm going to list you, 8, 9, 10 effects that I think is gripping our world today. Some of it self-inflicted, some of it due to technology, some of it is the side effect of us drifting from God. This is my 2 cents. But when I look at it, I really do believe we have a problem. The first thing I'd like to talk about is the cell phone effect. Verizon, Sprint, these folks are going to hate me for the next 5 minutes. Oh well. The cell phone effect. You know what? I look at that picture, I'm guilty. Right here. I go out to lunch with my kids, and we're all sitting on our cell phones. Shame on me. I only get these kids for a little short period of time. And here we're sitting on our phones, and we can't leave those in the car, and we can't pour into each other. The cell phone effect. I wonder what it's really doing to us. Don't you just wonder? How many times have you seen a commercial or an advertisement and they prop up the fact that I left my cell phone at home? They make a big deal out of it because they know it's so good to get with each other. The second thing is the silo effect. It's not a farming term. No, it's much worse than that. It's that where I have so many friends, yet I'm lonely. I read an article about a young gal. She had to go to counseling because she was so attached to her phone. She had all these friends. This girl was lonely. Think about it. Sitting on her phone, nobody around. I don't think that's what God had in store for us. The third thing is called the bystander effect. Let me explain. I'm going to read to you an article, and I begin. What a sharp contrast with a scene that occurred on a New York street nearly 2 decades before. Kitty Genovese was slowly and brutally stabbed to death. At least 38 of her neighbors witnessed the attack, heard her screams. In the course of the 90-minute episode, her attacker was actually frightened away, only to come back to finish her off. Yet not once during that period did any neighbor assist her or even telephone the police. 38 neighbors. The implications of this tragic event shocked America, and it stimulated 2 young psychologists, Darley and Latane, to study the conditions under which people are not willing to help others in an emergency. In essence, they concluded that the responsibility is diffused. Now listen to these facts. The more people that are present, the less we're apt to do something. They found out when 2 people are present, it's 62. You add 5 people, just 5 people, it goes to 31. The bystander effect. Buckle up, it's going to get worse here just for a minute. I promise it's going to get better here. Just work with me, don't leave yet. The lack of common decency effect. So that was 20 years ago. Fast forward to Cincinnati. And now I read from the Cincinnati Enquirer. James Burns writes, shameful and shocking. The Cincinnati suicide of an 8-year-old boy named Gabriel Tay, 2 days after being assaulted by a classmate in a school bathroom. The video of the event is more than disturbing. And not just from the assault, Gabe reaching out to shake hands with the bigger boy who pulls or throws him into the wall, rendering him unconscious as he slumped to the floor. Nor is the most disturbing aspect of this tragedy the school's handling of the situation labeled inexplicable and inexcusable in a recent Cincinnati Enquirer editorial. No, the most disturbing behavior of all is Gabe's classmates who, for 7 long, torturous minutes, walked past him going in or out of the bathroom, a few of whom would stop, stare, or step over, or they'd even poke him with his foot. They'd prod Gabe, then they'd walk away, just to see if he'd move. I guess he didn't. Those boys who passed by on the other side, yes, I'm reminded of the parable of the Good Samaritan, weren't ignoring a stranger. They knew Gabe. They liked Gabe, yet they passed by on the other side. And those who did not stop to poke him with their foot, getting no response, well, they've helped write the new parable of the uncaring classmate within the larger theme of an uncaring culture. Many readers will strongly disagree with my judging of the behavior of an 8-year-old, but I believe that being 8 does not exonerate. In terms of suicide, this is tough and I apologize. In terms of suicide, children of that age may not comprehend the finality or permanence of death